This is the Easter story told by our resurrection eggs. Look at the pictures in each egg as we tell the story. We learn about the Easter story by reading the Bible. The story of Easter can be found in the books Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. After Jesus had spent about 3 years talking with the people around him, teaching them, healing them, and loving them, Jesus came to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover, a special celebration the people in Israel had celebrated for hundreds of years. The people thought Jesus was the new king coming to save them from the soldiers in their land, and so they had a huge party. Jesus rode into the city on a donkey, and the crowd waved palm branches and put their coats on the ground to make a carpet for Jesus to ride on. They all yelled, "Hosanna! Here comes the new king!" We call this day Palm Sunday. Jesus and his friends, the disciples, shared the special celebration, the Passover, together. The Passover is a special meal. We call this the Last Supper. As they were eating, Jesus took some bread and blessed it. Then he broke it in pieces and gave it to the disciples, saying, "Take this and eat it, for this is my body." And he took a cup of wine and gave thanks to God for it. He gave it to them and said, "Each of you drink from it, for this is my blood which confirms the covenant between God and his people. It is poured out as a sacrifice to forgive the sins of many." After Jesus and his friends finished their meal, Jesus knew that he would need God's help, so he went to a garden called Gethsemane to pray. Jesus took some of his friends with him. He cried out to God for help, and he knew that his Father was with him. As Jesus and his friends came out of the garden, some soldiers came and arrested him. They took him to see some important priests and a judge. All the time the soldiers and the people teased him and called him names. Some of the soldiers made a crown out of very spiky thorns and put it on Jesus' head. They also took sticks and hit him with them. All the people who welcomed Jesus to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday now wanted him out of the way. They wanted to kill him. Jesus had to carry a huge cross out of the city and up a big hill. Soldiers hung Jesus on the cross by putting nails through Jesus' hands and feet. The sky went very dark, and Jesus died on the cross. We remember this day as Good Friday. After Jesus died, he was buried in a cave called a tomb. A big round stone was rolled in front of the tomb, and the important priests told the soldiers to stay in front of the tomb so that no one could get inside. "3 days after Jesus died, 2 of Jesus' friends, both of them were called Mary, went to visit the tomb. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled aside the stone, and sat on it. His face shone like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. The guards shook with fear when they saw him, and they fell into a dead faint. Then the angel spoke to the women. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead, just as he said would happen. Come, see where his body was lying. And now go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead, and he is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Remember what I have told you." The women ran quickly from the tomb. They were very frightened, but also filled with great joy, and they rushed to give the disciples the angel's message. And as they went, Jesus met them and greeted them, and they ran to him, grasped his feet, and worshipped him. This is what we call Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday. Jesus was alive. He spent time with his friends so they could see that he was not dead. After a little while, Jesus went back to heaven to be with his Father, and he is still there, even now. Jesus is alive.